This is Gerald Johan van Waas. I will give you an example of a word that has a certain combination of letters that can be understood from the positions in my guiding scheme. And it's actually very easy to see how it is built up there. And the word I will build up there is mountain. And as you know, letters are like frequencies, and we adapt to what we hear, how we hear them, if they are low, wide, if you have the feeling that they are opening. We all deal with these things just like we deal with colors, with numbers, with forms. We deal with them. If something is sharp, we handle that differently and with more caution, and something is round. The same thing with letters. We deal with the features of the letters. Even now the whole system is a bit unconsciously. It is actually the way how we perceive the world in a certain order, and we have a tendency to use certain letters for a certain function, certain place, or elsewhere. So when we feel that there is a change, we have an attention, different attention with certain sounds. And when we feel certain things, we feel okay. We hear it's a bit more safe. If you hear those things, we can make a whole set of examples how everybody feels the same way about letters. But it's not just a feeling. There's a structure in it, a structure which is as structured as letters, as numbers. I mean. And these letters fit onto these numbers, but it fits into a lot more. It also fits into the qualities of how we perceive the world. Namely, we give it an order in space, in time, and in adaptation. In adaptation, how we, like in language, we try to adapt. So we try to figure out a little bit how we have to make some changes on its way. But we try to find the objective center points where we can start from, and then build up a little, experiment a little bit. And if we really need to make some changes, we want to hear that as well. That okay, there you have to change, and that's how much I have to change. So these three regions that you have here is the region of space, of time, and of a general context, let's say. And when I have letters, they all fit into a certain category. What we try to have in words is that we want to have an orientation on words that it is as physical, as objective as it can be. And of course it will be more easy to show you physical objects. Now, mountain is a physical object, so of course the most of the letters are also in this physical frame, as you can see there. So the letters are from the first category. Just a few are different, and it's also pronounced a bit different as it has been written. But let's see how it has been written and how we build it up. Let's just build it up from M to the whole mountain. But before I do, I also have to say that these three categories also have their own categories, the same kind of categories. So the first category of the first region of where we have our objective and spaces, we can use it at full. We use it really if we have a pinpoint in space, and we can orientate ourselves well with these first three letters. The next one, there are already some changes in space, and the last one, there's some caution because the changes are very clear, and so our orientation also has to look at, okay, just like in the last category, what do I need to adapt? Where is my context, and where exactly is what I can need at this point? So also in the building up of a physical objective, all these letters that are there, we have these degrees of of physicality, let's say, than at that degree. So that I also will start to change the colors a bit, so in the same way as the levels that they have. There's the blue, the green and the red level, let's say, but I use the categories separately so that you really see what is used as a letter to find an objective. The second one is what is used to see like that I have a correct timing, so that I know when exactly that this will be noticed. And the last category will be about, yeah, where shall I change my focus upon to, so that I can use it into a general context, so that I can leave my estimations and find the last category, the full context, that I can place it into the world, that I not just see like, okay, this is close by and it is evolving to something, okay, that's its place in the world. So that's the last category of letters, and I will put that in the last frame also. But you can put them on top of each other, it's all happening at the same time. But in a way, we see also these degrees of certainty. So there are 3 degrees of certainty, and the first category, which is the most physical, the most objective, there we are most certain about that something is creating a form. So the M is, of course, creating a form, but it is really enlarging. So it's so much enlarging that it's in the red zone, that we have to look up, yeah, where is it really going? It's already going somewhere, so we have to have an attention, but this is the growing in several directions of the M. On top of that, but that's how I put that in the second category, is the O, and that gives it, you can put it on top of it, and that lifts it up, and it's the O is the environment. That's the next category. Is also you leave your own physical references of body or I to the environment. So also the second category of time, it's also the space beyond yourself, and of course you involve time, because you have to make steps to get there. What kind of steps are taken with the O? It shows you the height of, let's say, your environment. It's up to here. So these are your limits. These are the limits. It is actually showing limits in an environment and a timing. A timing that here we have something that we can use in a certain environment, and in a certain timing, in space and time at the same time. Next letter, the U. So we already have actually M, so the growing in different directions, grow and up into the environment. That's already a very good beginning for the mountain. The U, the written U, says actually, no, I make a selection here. And I will not take everything that I see. I'll follow just one direction. That's the U. The U is following what is forming mostly. It's in the second category of the first one, so it's the physical forming of something. But you choose a center point, and that center point of attention is there where you see where most of it is forming. So we choose, instead of the 2 O's and the 2 M's and all the directions, we choose one of them. We choose one focus point. So instead of mountains, you see already, we're going to focus on just one mountain. And what are we going to do then in that focus? Because until now we see it's in the environment, it's growing, but what is growing, and what are we focusing upon that growing part? So that's, we go to the next letter, the N. And the N is the in the first category of the second region, and that second region is about what is developing in time. The N is about the development of something that is growing, also growing into the form. It's growing to the form in time, and we take it out in the vertical. It's the second, in the second category, it's the vertical. So we take it out as physical material that is growing in time, and that's the mountain. It's already growing. So what are we going to do then after that growing? We follow it up with the next letter, the T. The T is a focus also on the vertical part, but it's on the vertical part in the physical orientation. So we focus onto the vertical on a physical space. So what we do in that growing, we put it back into a space on top. So we focus in the vertical region again, but in the physical region. So we focus upon it, and we see it, and we give it a reference point in space again. And the A does that as well. It gives it a center point of attention. The E is then the first one of the last category. It gives it the general focus. So the E, you have to find a point of reference where we can repeat it. What can we repeat? What we can repeat here, okay, here it is a bit more difficult to say what kind of physicality do you have beyond that, but it is actually, we have already something that is growing, and you have also already a certain range, and that one will be the pattern that we can repeat, and that's the E will show you where the pattern is on the horizontal plane, and in the vertical plane it goes towards the point of where it all started, where it can grow. It's actually the whole range of the N bit, or it can be larger. Let's keep that open a little bit where it is, but we already know our focus has to become a more general focus. We're already having something that becomes a pattern, and we're going to use that pattern pretty soon. And the last letter, again, even if we start the pattern from the start to the end, again has to be uplifted. So it's the whole uplifting thing that will be used as a pattern. But that's the word, how it has been written. This is a reference frame of the word. Let's also put it all a bit together first to make it a bit more clear. This is just sketchy, but you already know what's going on. So the physical parts are the blue one, the timings, where you have a timings, are the green one, and the red one is then the focus on where we will find the pattern. So I've put them together in one frame, because it's like a projection into one frame. I have in that the parts, how it is growing in my logic, and in between there's a letter that we don't pronounce, that we pronounce but we don't write it down, and that's the W. That's the W. W is the wave which goes in between. So our oral letters always tells us how to deal with it. What kind of concentration do we use? What is the helpful tool to focus upon this pattern? Well, the helpful tool is very basically a wave. And this wave very easily describes what is going on in the background. We cannot describe a mountain better than with the waves in between. What is underneath we can read from the letters. And if I read also the separate letters, what they mean, we also come to it. We already can recognize what is going on. We know that it started with growing material, which was taken to an environment, in an environmental choice somewhere in space and in a certain time schedule, and from which I just take one part of it that I think is worth my focus. But so in that way we already have the whole mountains, but we take out just one mountain that grows out on its own, and that we will give in that growing out of it, we will give it a spatial reference in the vertical area as well. And there we will focus upon it. That's our point of focus. And this whole thing, that is just that one mountain out of the mountains that grows out of it, and that takes our attention, that we see it in a certain spatial area and that we take out of being important, we will use as a repetitive pattern, that we will use as that word is about a pattern as well. And we can, in that kind of pattern, you can take out also something that is seen, and that we see that at some points it's forming itself in time, and that's what the mountain is. The W there is in the background, when we use it as a helpful tool to express it. It's most helpful to visualize it as well. Okay, this was an example which I think was quite easy. I hope you enjoyed it, and you recognized how the mountain is built up with its own letters. Okay, this was Gerald Johan van Was again. You can find a larger list of previously demonstrated words at that short URL, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you didn't yet, to have more updates and more demonstrations soon. Thanks again, bye.